What does it mean to be a woman? Pink is for girls. Always be polite. Don't be alone with the boys. Don't sit like that. Don't be so emotional. Don't be so bossy. Don't rely on a man, but always let the man lead. You should lose some weight. You should smile more. Be more grateful. Be more ladylike. Don't. Should. Society seems to have it all figured out. This unrealistic image of what it means to be a woman. It's contradictory, it's unattainable, yet it's demanded. I think every woman has this universally shared experience where we must find our own definition, yet we all come to different outcomes. I've seemed to change my mind a lot over the years, deciding to be braver, more direct, but then also tactful and intentional of what deserves my energy and attention. And you know who taught me that? Taylor Swift. I'm Kate, I'm a therapist, and today we need to talk about how Taylor Swift changed what it means to be a woman. You know, I can remember exactly where I was when I was first introduced to Taylor's music. I was probably like 13, I was with one of my friends, we were in the family computer room, how that was a thing back in the early 2000s, and we were watching all the different music videos on YouTube. We were watching Teardrops on My Guitar, we were watching White Horse, we were watching You Belong With Me, we were watching Love Story, everything, and it was so good. And I think it was good because Taylor was only like 4 years older than me. That really resonated with me because she was singing about things that were happening in my life. She was singing about the school dances, about love stories, about football games, about breakups, about the drama of being a young girl. And it just felt like this music was for me. It almost felt like I was watching an older sister, just going through everything a little bit sooner than I did. And as Taylor grew up, so did I. We stopped caring so much about what boys thought of us, and we started caring more about the world around us and pursuing knowledge and really getting to this more mature state. I see her now, and she's an advocate, not just for herself, but for others. I see a woman that doesn't abide by society's standards, and she lives authentically, and it's admirable. Somehow, in the face of fame and all that she has been through, she's kind of redefined what it means to be a woman. And in this video, we're gonna talk about 3 different albums that meant the most to me and kind of shaped how I view being a woman. In 2014, Taylor was well past the Kanye West incident at the VMAs.
Yo, Taylor. I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
But that doesn't mean that she was necessarily clean with other celebrities. Get it? We were still seeing some disagreements between Taylor and celebrities like Katy Perry and Nicki Minaj. And for the first time, Taylor started to fight back. She started taking a stand against the media's portrayal of her dating life. Which makes sense, because up to this point, she was labeled things like man-eater, crazy ex-girlfriend, boy crazy, heartbreaker, not really things that you want to be labeled as. She had to endure a lot of toxic interviews, inappropriate questions, and really just dealt with this awful portrayal of her by the media. Taylor said, enough. Enter 1989. Taylor Swift is no longer a country artist. It's mature, it's attitude, it's feminine, but it has a ferocity to it. For the first time, we see Taylor start using her art as a response to everyone's perception. She used her music to say, I'm not a little girl anymore. Shake It Off was catchy. It was fun. It's a bop for sure, but there's something deeper there. I go on too many dates, but I can't make them stay. At least that's what people say. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Taylor said, I feel like watching my dating life has become a bit more of a national pastime, and I'm just not comfortable providing that kind of entertainment anymore. Shake It Off is really the anthem for women bowing down to the demands of society. And the phrase was borrowed from another queen, Mariah Carey, who had a song with the same title back in 2009. Another song on this album, Blank Space, paints the picture of this crazy but seductive, but glamorous, but nuts, but manipulative woman that the media painted her as. It's about taking control of her narrative. It's about the absurdity of the headlines. It's truly one of the greatest diss tracks, but also power moves of our time. Now that is a lesson for women everywhere. I was in college when 1989 was released. I was trying to figure out where I belong. I joined sororities and clubs, and yet I didn't feel like I really identified with any of the groups I was around. I was uncomfortable in my own skin because I felt like I wasn't really accepted. And Taylor taught me that I don't have to accept these narratives that other people write about me. I mean, she broke out of the box that the media put her into, and so why couldn't I? I felt aligned with this idea that discovering new things about myself and really that pain of feeling criticized by your own peers. This is really a beautiful lesson for women everywhere.
I've had to learn a pretty tough lesson in the last couple of years that people can say whatever they want about us at any time. Yeah. People can say whatever they want about us at any time, and we cannot control that. The only thing we can control is our reaction to it. And I figure that we have two options. You can either let it get to you, let it change you, let it make you bitter or not trust people, or you could, you can descend into insanity if you want. Option two is you just shake it off.
In 2016, there seemed to be more drama that happened between Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, and Taylor herself.
Relationships are more important than punchlines, you know?
Yeah. Now, Taylor and Kanye seem to have reconciled over the VMA incident, but Kanye was writing a new song at the time, Famous, in which he uses a line about Taylor. Now, allegedly, Kanye did get permission from Taylor to use this line. And later, we saw that Kim Kardashian released an edited video recording of this phone conversation in which permission was given.
Yeah, I mean, to go with whatever line you think is better. It's obviously very tongue-in-cheek either way.
Yeah.
However, Taylor's team came back and said, no, we in fact did not give you permission. And a whole bunch of drama ensued. Honestly, it's a lot of he said, she said, and we didn't even really know the full extent of what happened until much later. Anyway, reputation. In lots of ways, this album was a combative stance against her critics. After the whole phone call thing, Taylor was considered maybe insincere and she was called a snake. And her reputation was called into question. So a year after this phone call incident, Taylor released this new album. It's edgy, aggressive, and kind of angry. This was a side of Taylor we've never seen before. The theme centered around this idea that women are always going to have a reputation no matter what's said or done. There will always be people that want to tear you down and steal your success, especially if you're a woman. And look what you made me do. She says, I'm sorry, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. Why? Oh, because she's dead. Taylor told us that her people-pleasing is gone now. It's dead, because it only hurts us in the end if we don't stand up for what we really want and believe. But don't mistake taking a stand to mean that we no longer care about the consequences of our actions or that a reputation doesn't matter. In Delicate, she sings, "This ain't for the best. My reputation's never been worse, so you must like me for me," which seems to imply that having a reputation comes at a cost. But the people that cut through the noise and love you for you are worth having around. Why does reputation matter to me? When Reputation came out, I had just applied to medical school and had just gotten rejected from medical school. And I was angry. I was being told that I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough, and I didn't work hard enough. For all intents and purposes, that wasn't true. I just didn't play the game right. I didn't play their game correctly. And I think this is where the album really helped me. Was even if you were going through failure or a reputation of not being good enough, of not being what others want you to be, you can go through your own rebirth. You can do anything that you want to do, be anybody that you want to be. I wound up leaving the field of medicine because I didn't want to play their game anymore. And I dove straight into a field where I got to become a therapist. And through all that, I had a lot of people supporting me. I had a wonderful partner and friends and family that were telling me that I could do things. And Taylor taught me that you can still reinvent yourself, even if you do have a reputation, even if you do have failure, even if everything is not going your way, as long as you have the right support and the right people in your life. 2020 will likely go down as one of the worst years in human history. Whether you like it or not, the pandemic changed the world. We were grieving, we were anxious, and we were more alone than ever. We weren't worried about celebrity feuds or TV drama or anything like that. We were worried about society and survival. For one of the first times ever, it felt like we looked inward as people, even in the face of catastrophe. Really and truly, Folklore came at the perfect time. And not even 6 months later, we got the gift of Evermore later that winter. In a lot of ways, these two albums seem like the old days, kind of like tapes. Folklore is side A and Evermore is side B. Both are beautiful and just came when we needed them the most. While the past albums have been about fighting injustices, righteous anger, and reclaiming stories, these two albums were the sisters of reflection. They were calmer versions of healing from the pain and anger depicted in previous albums. They made us feel reflective and reminiscent of a simpler time. The pandemic made a whole generation grow up way before they were ready, and this album seemed to capture that. In Cardigan, she says, "When you are young, they assume you know nothing." In Evermore, she says, "Motion capture put me in a bad light. I replay my footsteps on each stepping stone, trying to find the one where I went wrong." Just as Taylor had the chance to look back at her career and controversies, we too were looking back at the innocence and loss as a society. These albums symbolized the light we chose to remember even in the dark moments, and the nostalgia of simpler times. In a way, this was post-traumatic growth, a positive transformation in the wake of trauma. At this time, this was exactly what I needed. I had started a career as a therapist, and things were taking off right when the pandemic hit. I wasn't ready, but no one was. My husband was a resident doctor thrust into the traumas of treating COVID in the hospitals, while I was doused in the flames of treating a new mental health crisis. It was, without a doubt, one of the toughest moments of my career. Folklore and Evermore is really about reconnecting with yourself in the face of tragedy, loss, and hardship. That even when there's a lot to be angry about, a lot of hardship that women face, there's still value in finding stillness and peace. There's a time to fight and there's a time to reflect. Taylor did teach me to stand up for myself, but she also taught me to look inward and find the joy in the small moments. Honestly, I learned a lot from Taylor. When you're a woman, people already write a lot of stories about you, what you are and what you aren't. And people wrote a lot of stories about Taylor. They labeled her as a martyr, they labeled her as an advocate, a friend, an enemy, a lot of different things. But did she necessarily label herself as those things? No. But you know what she did do? She reclaimed her story. I'm sure it's been painful, I'm sure it's not been fun, but it's brought healing and acceptance for her. And she's taught me that healing from this past and the things that other people put on you is one of those necessary evils. Taylor's really highlighted the woman's story for me. And this is an important distinction to make because this is the story of a privileged white woman. And this might not be every woman's story, but it was mine. And I think she taught me that perfection is a myth and to stop pleasing others because it's never gonna work out for you. It's never gonna bring you happiness. It's never gonna bring you joy or peace or anything that you wanted to achieve. Taylor's career is really a narrative in womanhood. It's reflective of my own story, and I think that's why I'm so connected with her music. Now, you may love her, you may hate her, but what has she done for you? Let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you guys next time.